Lonnie King here from Ontario Doors Magazine. I want to quickly share a little modification that I make to my R-bend spinnerbaits that is really effective. What I like to do is, well, you can actually, I'll give you a comparison first off and show you exactly what an R-bend spinnerbait is. You can see here, here's the two different types of spinnerbaits. You've got one where you've got the wire that's twisted to form a small loop, and you've got other spinnerbaits that have an R bend to it. And I really like fishing certain R bend spinnerbaits. There's some really good models out there, but I was always frustrated because when I go to fish an R bend spinnerbait, one of the risks that you run is if I tie it straight on, there's a good chance I get a pike or a muskie come up and bite me right off. I don't like to lose my spinnerbaits. Yet, if I wanted to run a leader on it, the problem, here's one rigged up right here, the problem I get into is if I want to put a leader on an R-bend spinnerbait, is that the leader actually, the snap slides up and down the shaft. And there's the risk, either when you make a cast, that the snap will slide up into the blades, and in that case it's a failed cast. You basically have to reel all the way in and recast again, which is frustrating. The worst situation is that if you're actually fighting a fish, that snap can slide up into the blades, and when that happens you put an awful lot of force and flex onto the R-bend spinnerbait, and over time you can actually snap those spinnerbaits right at the R, and you could conceivably not only destroy a good spinnerbait, but you could lose a big fish in the process. So there's a bunch of different modifications that you'll see written about in magazines on how to modify your R-bends. The one that has by far been the most effective for me is I clamp a small metal bead onto the top of that R, and that prevents the snap from sliding over, but yet it still allows the snap to slide up and down the main shaft. That's not as big a problem there. So just a little small modification. Again, I've tried all different kinds. This one by far is the best one. So the place we're fishing today, we're fishing a river. So we're fishing humps out in the middle of a river. But there's a lot of vegetation on these humps as well. It's midsummer, and even though it's midsummer and the sun's beating down, those fish will just tuck right into that vegetation in that shallow water. And a spinnerbait's a great way to get through that vegetation without hanging up. And the spinnerbait runs really shallow too, because we've got lots of depth fluctuations in here. But of course, the dilemma that we're faced with is that there's a lot of pike hanging around here too. The pike will like to hang around on the current edges, and they'll get right up in that grass too. Oh, there's one! Oh, and the bass! The pike love to eat these spinnerbaits. There's a nice smallie right there. Oh yeah! Sweet. And why the smallmouth is such a good candidate to talk about this modification is that they're such hard fighters. Oh, that's not a bad one. These bass are such hard fighters that they regularly will throw that clip up onto the blades on that part of the spinnerbait. And here, I'll let this guy go. And it's when that snap slides up into the blades that you get this kind of straightening out tension, and that's what's going to snap your R-bend spinnerbait. That little bead right there though, without any exaggeration, I have never broken a titanium wire spinnerbait with this modification on it. To me, it's that good. Alright, let's see if there's another one out there.